This is how you get your armor rank to level 200. All right, let's get started. All right, so you're playing on one of the fresh start servers, or maybe you're on one of the legacy servers, and you just want to get your armor rank to 200 as fast as possible, and you're wondering what's the best way to do it. Well, I've been on the RTA, the Return to Aeternum server, Titan, and honestly, it's been basically a gathering simulator. But with that, we have leveled up armor rank as an objective, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, we are 198, almost 199, and we'll talk about why I stopped there here in a minute, but I'm going to show you the most efficient way to do it. So we're going to go here to the armoring station, and we're going to show you a little bit how it's done. So basically, there is something that changed recently that's going to make this a lot easier, but a little bit more annoying. So right now, there's this thing called the first craft. So you can see down here, I didn't craft any of the infused silk up here, but if you have this little bar to the left, it is going to give you double the amount of experience. So we can see here with this infused silk, we will get 47,000 experience, and it would give half of that if not. So the best way to do it is going to be to follow the path. So when you get to armoring, you're going to do the linen shirts. You're going to go down the line and you're going to craft each one of these. Now you're going to go down the line and make sure you craft each one in each section. So you're going to have armoring here. So you'll be able to get all the linen. You'll be able to get all the leather. And then you can also go over here and go to the forge and get these as well. Now these take ore and they are a lot more valuable. So crafting the iron breastplate might not be that price efficient because you do have to get iron. But when you're making this material, and this is going to go for every single one, you're going to focus on one material and then two base materials. For your first ones, of course, we are looking at all three base materials. But when we go down to something like, let's say we get to ori chest pieces, we're going to have to do ori ingots. You can hear and click the owned items. You can substitute it for cinnabar tolvium, and obviously we don't want to do asmodium. And then when it comes to the leathers, you can actually just do the cheapest one. So get a bunch of coarse leather, get a bunch of cloth. Now, when you're doing these, just note that each one of them, or when you salvage them, are going to have a specific item that you get when salvaging. So when we salvage our breastplates or anything heavy, we are going to get we're going to get whatever ingot we're going to have. So if we're just crafting with iron, we will get iron back. And then if we go here and we go to the outfitting station, if we do anything that is this top stat here is cloth, we're going to get the cloth back. And then we're going to get the leather back whenever we do leather working. So you see here, leather, we would get leather back whenever we do these. So keep that in mind. Now, when you get those back, note that you actually want to use and have this top item a lot of the time to be the number that is the smallest or the hardest to get. So I actually suggest leather as a great way because you can get a ton of cloth. Cloth is one of the most predominant resources in the game. And then once you get up into the higher tiers, it's actually easier to get the leather versus the cloth. Now, you do have to kind of manage your resources here a little bit, but you don't need a ton of ingots. You just get, you can even go and just stay on this crafting bench the whole way down. You can do iron ingots, or you can do the fey iron, any of that stuff the entire way. You don't have to go over there and go to the forge. It is a little bit more efficient to do it that way. But just note that if we are doing this, because we are going to be spamming after we get our first crafts of the day, we're going to be spamming gloves. Now, this isn't anything that is abnormal. This is very common. But the thing to remember here is, remember, the item that you're going to need the least is always actually going to be the top item. That is why we're going to do leather, because not only is it going to be something that we can readily obtain pretty easily, but it's not quite as easy as cloth. We're going to need a ton of linen to get this upgraded, but we're still going to want to increase our leather so we can get all of these first craft bonuses. Now, once we start getting all the way up to the infused leather, let's go ahead and look at it here. Once we get up to this infused leather, we are going to need infused leather as our base material. And rawhide isn't as, easily as tamed as linen, but once you get up into the tiers of leather, leather's actually easier to farm. Now, because we are doing the leather, and you would think that it kind of contradicts our argument, but wire weave is super hard to obtain in massive mounts. So that's why we're going to focus on leather gloves, because we can get the thick hide, we can get the iron hide. That's all very readily available, so we can actually craft those up. But we are going to need a lot more of the linen than we are going to need of that leather. Also, remember that when you are crafting these things, one of the best things to do is actually to go down here and do your replica crafts. Now, if you only have a little bit of the material, so if you see here, it's going to take basically the same exact material, but it's going to take an additional material down here. But that material is going to essentially give you double the experience. So what you're going to want to do is go down here, and if you can spam craft these, great. If you're on a fresh start server, it's going to be very hard to actually spam craft these. So here's what you do. Make sure if you only have the ability to craft a couple of these, you're actually targeting the bigger amounts. Why is that? Because they're just going to give you more experience. You can see here that these chest pieces are giving 4,050, and when we go to the boots here, they're only given 1710. So if you only have 30 or 40 of these coagulated blood, you want to make sure you go the chest pieces, and then the legs, and then the helms. I think the helms might be the same. Let me look here. No, so the helms are even more. So you go chest piece, legs, helm, because you really want to maximize that experience, and that's going to go the same all the way down. Now, on my server, they've kind of price gouged a lot of these, so we didn't get the chance to spam these. But if you do the leather gloves or the silk gloves, they are actually better than the regular ones if you're doing these replicas, because they're just giving you essentially double the experience for just 10 of these pouches. Now, you can actually do a cost analysis to see if it's actually any better. And a lot of times it is better now with it being a fresh start and people leveling up all of their crafting. It might not be, because there's not just as many on the town boards or on the trading post. But if you're on something like a legacy server, make sure you go check it out, because it is going to save you a ton of coins. One thing to make sure that you don't forget to do is make sure you craft your bags. These give some of the best amounts of experience. You see here, I kind of neglected it all the way up to the infused one, but it gave me like over 100,000 armoring experience. It was massive, and it's a bag, so you get to use it. It's really good. Now, it does cost you a little bit more because we are doing the Greater Rune of Holding, but I can sell this bag, the one at least I crafted, for more than I have in it. You can do the smallest amounts of mats possible. I just did a infused leather, and then with some base cloth and base ingots. Actually, I did do like scale cloth, but it is very easy and affordable to do it that way, and you get a ton of experience. You don't want to use the Grand Runes of Holding. I completely understand, but just note that it is a massive amount of experience that you're going to want to do. All right, so when it comes to the reason why I stopped at 198 is because of a specific reason, and that is these different scraps. Now, you can get these by salvaging your items, so however much you think you're going to need, you're actually going to need a decent amount less. Now, you're going to get a bunch of these for armoring as you're leveling up, or as you're just deconning items throughout the game, so make sure you're utilizing those, because it's pretty inefficient to control or convert those into the actual resource. It's a lot more valuable for you just to use these for experience. So what I plan to do here, because we're trying to be as efficient as possible, is I'm just going to give all the mats I have to somebody else, and I'm going to get enough of these scraps to level myself up to 200. It's no big deal. And if we really need me to get to 200 and I haven't gotten them yet, we'll just go ahead and use them. Now, the last thing that I do want to mention is, before you do any of this, before you start crafting and deconstructing, and make sure you get the 100 focus passive. It gives you a 10% yield increase when salvaging. This is going to be a massive bump in the returns that you get for your armors. It is a nice little bump, you know, especially if you're sitting down to do a bunch of crafting and you're not a healer. It is going to cost you essentially 400 coins to respec 2 times, but it is definitely worth it if you're sitting down doing a massive amounts of crafting and salvaging. This is a must-have perk for anything like that. Then, just to show you that I am at 198 armoring, and you can see here all of the random stuff. I mean, I do have a lot of aptitude in leatherworking. That's because people were feeding me mats as we were trying to, you know, feed a bunch of people a bunch of leather to get their armoring up. But we're at 198. I have enough mats to go way over 200 right now. But like I said, we are waiting to get those scraps to go ahead and get the 200. So I hope this video helps you guys. I hope this kind of at least points you in the right direction. We try to do more of a quick, concise video about how to get your armoring to 200. Gather the mats and make sure you get your first crafts of the day and then smack those gloves. And just note that the item that you're crafting, so if you're crafting the leather gloves, you're going to need less of that leather than you're going to the other material. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe like always, and I'll see you next time. Peace.